How do the ghosts and demons of our comic books and manga compare to their biblical counterparts? We're going to find out today for our episode for Systematic Geekology. We are the Priests to the Geeks. We are here live at the Temple's Edge in Matthews, North Carolina, where we have been graciously provided the space to have this little bit of mini fun day, to enjoy each other's company and talk about something we love. I'm your host, Christian Ashton today, and I'm joined, of course, by Joshua Knoll. How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing pretty good. I had a great pizza. I got to see the Seaboard 100 cart train today. It was a good day. I'm happy.
That was a pretty impressive train.
Yeah, man. Seaboard, for those who don't know about trains, the Seaboard is like high level. Like if you're a train enthusiast, you have to see the Seaboard at least once in your life. It was pretty cool.
Okay, so we started the day in the matter of least important outside of myself. So we're going to go next up to TJ. How you doing, TJ?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Christian.
Excellent. And now I have to introduce my co-conspirator, the co-leader of the revolution against Joshua, Elizabeth Payne Clyde. How you doing, Payne?
Hello. I just realized we talked about making posters last night, and we never did.
Yeah, we got caught up watching Whisper of the Heart instead.
Yeah. Gosh, we suck.
And I try so hard to support your conspiracy against me, and you just make it impossible.
Well, if you sucked less, it would be easier.
Listen,
Yeah.
every single election we've had for dictator of SG, I have voted for Christian.
I don't vote. You don't vote for a dictator.
I'm about to say, but also to keep on disagreeing with
Maybe
you.
that's why we
can't have
had
it.
any votes yet.
As you can see, we're completely unified,
Yeah,
which is the
of
purpose
course.
of the show. But also today, we're going to get into the topics of demons and ghosts in our favorite comics and manga. But before all that, I'd like to see who has anything they've been geeking out on. Who wants to go first?
Oh, just geeking out on stuff?
Yes.
I already said Jujutsu Kaisen once today. I'm going to say Helk. I just read Helk. If you're listening, haven't read Helk, haven't seen the anime that just started, Helk is really good. It's amazing. I read it in one night. It's like 140 chapters. Great shonen story. This big, strong human dude coexisting with demons, actually.
Okay.
Huh.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty relevant.
I didn't see the first episode. It looked pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Man.
Right.
Mine was kind of relevant. Hellboy and the BPRD started back up. We're getting near the end of the Hellboy in Love series, which, pretty mid. Hellboy and the BPRD, though, man, top notch. We got this instead of a werewolf, we have a tiger. Man, it was cool. It was so cool. Good one-off paranormal story. I'm a happy guy.
Okay, Payne.
So I have been geeking out on, it is called Blissful Marriage. We talked about it in Manga Monstered a little bit. But just old-fashioned, like historic Edo romance between an emperor and a lady. Who doesn't love it?
Actually, that did sound really interesting because I was listening to Manga Mustard. It's on our YouTube. If you're on our YouTube, check it out. If you're not, go to YouTube. But man, that whole series was interesting. But that was the one that really stood out to me of the stories y'all talked about. I was like,
It was a romance
I might
type of
check that
Manga
out.
Mustard.
Yeah, I don't even like romance that much. I was like, that story in particular. I was like, okay,
Your poor
check it out.
wife.
I'll check it out.
Well, as for me, Josh, if you'd actually make yourself useful and hold this for me real quick as I disrobe live on stage to show.
I hate this. I hate every
Demon
second about
Slayer
what just happened.
It's what I've been geeking out on recently. And
I did not consent.
Yeah, you don't. So I'm so glad that's on live forever on the internet.
Didn't know what was happening.
All that for a bit.
Naturally.
So that's what I've been geeking out on recently. So, gentlemen, lady.
Yeah. If
So
anyone's
where we go from
wondering,
here?
it is a very humid 87 degrees outside.
Yeah,
It's just wearing
pretty-
t-shirts.
That's
Pretty
why
comfy.
I just put it on like 20 minutes beforehand because I knew I would not be happy if that was the case.
The fact that you put effort into that moment.
What's
Impressive.
funny is TJ mentioned earlier that I should wear more long sleeve shirts. And that's all I could think while I was outside today is, man, I should have been wearing a long sleeve shirt.
I feel like it's a nice day. 87 is great
It's
for
a little
the South.
chilly, but it's not like
Oh my gosh.
cold.
Yeah. Speaking
It's
of someone who needs
pretty
the fires of
comfortable.
hell to keep them
Relatively
warm.
comfortable.
Moving on, our topic, like we mentioned earlier, is demons and ghosts within comics and manga. Now, would anyone like to go ahead and let's just go ahead and do the questions real quick. So, what comics and manga that involves ghosts and demons do we all enjoy? And what are our favorite stories that involve these paranormal entities?
Yeah. Well, I just read Helk. Helk's super good. Depending on how you look at it, Jujutsu Kaisen, you could say like the cursed
Spirits.
Her
energies.
spirits
Yeah.
are demons.
Yeah.
You can see that way. Inuyasha is a classic, all about demons.
Love him.
Pretty much most shonen at this point, I feel like, are about or
You can even go with Black Clover too with his sword.
Black
Yeah.
Clover, Demon Slayer. Believe it or not, does have demons in it.
Well, actually, funnily enough, they're not really demons in the technical sense, like we would typically attribute. They're more like vampires.
Yeah, they're like ghouls.
Yeah.
But
But it's called Demon Slayer,
there
for
are
sure.
so many
It
things
gets
these
in.
days.
Man, I have a wide variety. Largely, I'm the comic book guy of the episode, which is weird, as it's usually Will's job. But as far as it comes to like ghosts and demons, I feel like I read more of the paranormal comics, which is odd, I guess. But Ice Cream Man could be Satan himself, but I've fallen. I think it falls in the demonic category. Definitely some like ghost monsters kind of stuff. Hellboy I mentioned earlier. One of my all-time favorite runs ever is Hellboy in Hell, so I'm excited to talk about that. I have a whole separate sheet here to talk about Hellboy in Hell. Let's see, Mephisto's Realm, when we're talking about like Marvel stuff.
We'll get to that in a second.
We get to honestly, just some of my favorite, like even the animes that I do like One Piece. I always found like, what is Brooke to be really interesting? Like, does he technically count as a ghost? Because his spirit
No.
does depart from the skeleton pretty often, especially if you're talking about the video game.
No.
I think it should count.
No.
But even like Blue Exorcist, one that TJ made me watch, I thought it was really interesting. It's got a lot of that kind of stuff in it too.
Okay.
Pretty much if it's anything remotely romantic and if the demons are hot, I'm for it. So Inuyasha for sure.
Okay, we're just gonna go there. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, if it's an attractive demon I can fantasize about, let's go.
Okay.
Like, it's a good time. I'll watch it. But when I thought about this topic, I thought specifically it's Bed and Breakfast for Spirits is a manga that I read with it. It's pretty much a demon falls in love with a human girl and she works at their bed and breakfast and, cooks for them. So
Yeah.
right up my alley. Hospitality.
So just out of curiosity, I'm really hoping that Lutheran pastors, in fact, do no exorcisms. It sounds like we might need that, perhaps. Will, I don't know.
And for those of you who can't see, our beautiful and bald and proud leader, Will, is on the other side of technical support today. So shout out to Will for everything good he's doing. And I will actually answer my own question here. So a lot of really good stuff has been put out here, but let's also talk about Chainsaw Man. And in the series, demons are typically called devils instead. It's more like a technical thing rather than like meaning a lot more. But they embody these concepts. You'll have like something that people are really afraid of. There will be like there will be a blood devil. There will be the eternity devil, and even concepts like Halloween and the cosmos have something that really screw with people. So then you have Chainsaw Man himself, who is the devil who slays other devils. And I really enjoy that aspect of it. So, anything else for this first part?
About Chainsaw Man?
Oh,
I just love Chainsaw Man.
it's a good one.
Will, do you or any listening have any comics, manga like that as ghost demons you want to throw out? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, Marvel's
I
Mephisto's
promise.
Realm. I'm leaving that mostly to Christian. I just feel like that's his expertise. As much as he loves Spider-Man One Last Day.
One
just
more
couldn't-
day.
It's like, you listen, it should have been the last one.
You can't even troll
Should've ended.
correctly. You can't even troll correctly. You're worthless to me.
I got the rise, didn't I?
All right. So this also kind of introduces an interesting question we should all wrestle with, and is why should we as Christians care about or entertain stories with these elements that we might not always agree
Or
with?
fantasize.
Yes. So who wants to go first for that one?
Thing.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. Why should we as Christians care about or entertain stories with these elements that we might not always agree with?
It's entertaining. Yeah, entertainment at the end of the day is for entertaining purposes. Yeah, that's pretty much where I stand about that.
Typical TJ answer.
As you'll
Correct.
see more when I talk about Hellboy and Hell, but also I'll use Mumford & Sons as an example. Oddly enough, they have a song, Babel. A lot of times, those who are more artistic tend to really be able to bring out some of the themes that those of us who are like scholarly Bible nerds might miss. So whenever you think like Mumford & Sons Babel is actually about pride and how society gets full of itself. Whereas a lot of the times when you hear Bible nerds talk about it, it's really just about what really happened, where is it found, like that kind of stuff. We kind of maybe lose the theme sometimes. So I actually feel like it's really important to see it in art, maybe even done from a different perspective, because you might be missing something.
Bang, anything you want to add?
No, not at all. I just enjoy watching it. So, I mean, I really don't care like what your background is. You can enjoy all platforms.
Fair enough. I mean, for me, I think it's very important to wrestle with this question because chances of there being a fictional piece of media out there that 100% aligns with my theology, well, I have to be the one to write it. I mean, at the end of the day, and we'll get to my recommendations later. And,
Oh, man. Actually, I'm going to second his recommendation later.
But, I mean, we've got a world out there that doesn't understand the supernatural. We have plenty of Christians who don't understand the supernatural and will pretend it doesn't exist. Or, yes, me. Or we'll pretend like, oh, well, that's just some story made up and it was actually just mental illness or something like that. And, like, how do we wrestle with those things in particular? What do you think about that?
Sometimes I think it is just mental illness, for the record.
Yes. I'm talking about, like, actual biblical stories versus what people would misidentify properly today.
I'll maintain that sometimes we focus too much on is it real or not, and not enough on what the actual point of the story was.
And what if the point of the story is Jesus can take out demons?
Yes. Yeah, Will said that's where comics and manga can really hit the actual issues sometimes.
TJ?
Yeah.
Y'all weren't like really speaking into your mic, so y'all muttered to yourself. We didn't hear what you said.
Oh, of course.
I was speaking at the correct distance from my mic.
Interesting.
We did not hear. Again, repeat.
I'm so sorry.
Well, I don't even know what we're talking about at this point.
Yeah. We'll just move on. Once again, Joshua's ruined everything.
Hashtag goals.
All right. So let's start with some of the comic books we mentioned. Like, how did the stories we all threw out treat ghosts and demons separately?
Yeah, usually we see ghosts and demons as like the antagonistic force in any given media, which I feel like that aligns with what is in the Bible usually. Personally, I think it's more interesting when they're not that. Like in Helk, we see Helk kind of betray the human race because they kind of fall to kind of fall into depravity. And then in this universe, the demons aren't really demons; they're just kind of other races. But I don't know; those are the ones that are the most interesting to me. I know some comic books have been like even pretty accurate descriptions of what we know about the demons of the Bible. Those are kind of interesting. So then, like Hellboy will get a little accurate sometimes. Things like that. Usually not what I read will be accurately displaying the biblical or goetic demons. So.
Okay. Hanger Josh.
Well, with what I watch, it's just all it's like the feel good.
We're talking about comic books right now?
No, I'm talking about manga. Well, whatever.
That's the next question.
The question is comic
Continue.
books.
Yeah, but like,
How are you watching the comic book?
but you know what I mean. Like, read, watch. But anyway, continue.
Yeah.
Read, no,
Don't let
You
him
have any
bully you.
I'll wait until manga.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right, now you go.
you don't want to go first?
Well, of course. I have
Mine's
to go
gonna
to
take a minute,
Save
you know.
best for last.
Mine's gonna take a minute.
I don't care.
So first I'll throw out quickly Ice Cream Man. In the quarantine edition, when we're talking about like the COVID years, he is seen in the Garden of Eden offering Eve ice cream instead of an apple, which was kind of the first hint that he was the devil. But in I think it was issue 35, the quintessential Book of Monsters also revealed probably Satan. So that's Ice Cream Man. Also, as far as like horror comics go, I don't even comfortable talking about some of those issues. They are truly just something else.
Okay.
But more importantly, two comics I really love that deal with demons and stuff. So first, I'm going to go with one with Ghost. Scottie Young, we met at Comic-Con this year. Super excited. Me and Will saw him. He writes The Me You Love in the Dark. One of my favorite comics, actually suggested to me by someone who works at this store. So shout out, Jess, if you're listening. But The Me You Love in the Dark, 5-issue series. It deals a lot with this artist looking for inspiration, rents out this house. Supposedly it's haunted. She's just looking for inspiration. She sits in there. The ghost eventually approaches her. Starts off as kind of like a sweet love story. Like he's just kind of misunderstood, maybe. In the middle of the story, one of my favorite lines, though, he says, "What is real? What a fluid term." And that's sort of what you get out of this, is that reality is kind of fluid. And you see this ghost, he's terrifying, all these eyes, teeth, just crazy stuff. The relationship kind of becomes where he doesn't want her to go out to get art supplies. He doesn't want her to go out to get anything. And she kind of ends up trapped there. Eventually ends with a murder. We're still left wondering, is this ghost real? Is it a ghost even? Is it just a spirit? What is it? We're never really clear on that. Guy ends up murdered. The artist ends up lighting the house on fire. And it ends with this really spooky painting of the ghost with the burn marks from where it was in the house and people looking at it in the art thing. I love those kind of ghost stories where we're not sure if it's real, if it's not. And I like the ambiguity. I like the fear factor, all of that. I know you hate ambiguity. Get over it. To me, it was definitely a ghost, and I'm going to stand by that. But then, Hellboy in Hell. That's where I got my whole other sheet for this one.
Go ahead.
So this is one of my, if I say my favorite comic ever, I'm either talking Hellboy in Hell, Ed Brubaker's run of Captain America, or G. Willow Wilson's original Miss Marvel Kamala Khan series.
Good choices.
Yeah, they're all great. Hellboy in Hell, Mike Mignola. Very loosely based some of like what Hell is structured as, because Hellboy dies fighting a dragon, King Arthur stuff's involved. He's in Hell now, sort of. He's actually on the edge of Hell, but whatever. Loosely, the structure of Hell is based on Paradise Lost by John Milton. So that's like an early recommendation. Check that book out. But what you see is it's kind of like a bowl. In the very middle is the Lake of Fire. On the edge of the Lake of Fire, on the edge of Hell, is where we first see Hellboy. It's kind of got a city. And in the city, there are ghosts. There are spirits that are kind of like captured, but not in Hell yet. Hell itself, and this is where you get a lot of the symbolism that I really like about this place, and where the comic, post my accident, became really personal to me. So, in the middle of that, you have, I'm looking for the term, I don't know how to read. Should have thought of that when I made, okay. Pandemonium is the city that's in the middle. Pandemonium is a word for just chaos.
Yes.
In the comic, Hellboy's arrival causes all of the leader demons, the captains, the guards to flee. Leaves it unguarded. Hellboy, unknowingly, somehow he has like a out-of-body experience kind of thing, slits the throat of Satan, which causes pure chaos. Some family drama happens. The Leviathan jumps out of the Lake of Fire to consume some people. It gets wild. You have golems, you have husks that are like not quite any spirit.
He means golems, not golem.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hellboy's dad is Azael. His mom was a witch. We discover that the reason he goes up to Earth is because while she was being executed in Hell, she gives her life to Christ. As she's being saved and killed in Hell, Hellboy is shot up in a ball of fire. It's not explicitly said that that's why he made it to Earth, but it's pretty heavily implied. It's because his mom got saved right as she was executed in Hell.
That raises some really interesting theological questions.
Doesn't it?
Yes.
I love this series. It's so much fun. But because without Satan, there is no rule. There is no order in Hell. It all goes to chaos. It all just goes completely bonkers. Eventually, Hellboy leaves. The reason this is personal to me, I mentioned that earlier. I'm going to finish on this. When I had my accident, for some reason, so I had this brain damage. I wasn't allowed to read. I'm not allowed to look at screens. I'm not allowed to look at TVs. The only Bible verse for some reason I could remember, and I still can't quote it now, it's funny, but I could quote it at the time, was Isaiah, I want to say it's 27:1, but it's the verse that says, "The Lord with his great and powerful and mighty sword slayed Leviathan. Leviathan the great serpent, Leviathan the mighty serpent." Leviathan, adding to this story and to my moment in life, represents chaos. That's what it is in Jewish culture.
Yes.
So we see pandemonium, chaos. We see Satan death, chaos. We see all of hell bringing in chaos. And the Leviathan jumps up and saves Hellboy. And Hellboy at the end kills Leviathan. He kills chaos. Wouldn't you know, when I preached the sermon about Isaiah after my accident, I used my grandfather's Bible. I never found anything highlighted in it ever as I flipped through. But when I preached, I opened up to Isaiah. You want to know what the one verse highlighted was?
That one.
Yes. So God is all about killing the chaos. And seeing that in this story being the main theme makes me feel like maybe that theme is pretty accurate to what we should be getting out of some of these stories.
Well said, Joshua. So finally, you turned this podcast around, being useful to all of us.
I tried.
But I'll go on this end. I had a hard time with the ghost part of this. I could not remember for the life of me a lot of ghost stories in Marvel and DC, which is primarily where I go in comics.
Yeah, Ghost Rider.
Yeah,
that's not a ghost.
He's not a ghost. It's just in the name. But I do remember there being like, technically speaking, Dead Man from DC would be like an apparition or like astral projection, depending on how you view him and the way he can possess bodies to get stuff done. Yeah,
yeah.
And
Black
of course,
Knight.
yeah. Of course, you've also got Demon Etrigan as a positive figure and fighting as a hero against the evil magic in the world and stuff like that. So as far as that is going on to demons, we have to discuss, and by we I mean me.
Ghost Rider.
No, One More Day, which is there are only two things in this world that I rate a -1 out of 10. Those being The Last Jedi and
10 out of 10.
One More Day, which in and of itself ruins the characters of Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Mary Jane, defies who they are as people just so they can save some old bag. Who, mind you, I love Aunt May, but she is also old and going to die. So she's been, for those of you not without any context, Aunt May has been shot by a sniper's bullet, and Peter has gone across all the heroes who can't save an old woman from dying from a bullet wound. Then he goes to the villains, and people like Dr. Doom and Mr. Sinister and Apocalypse and all these people, they can't solve a simple bullet wound. But you know who can? Mephisto.
Naturally.
Yes, because there's no such thing as reality warpers within Marvel. There's no one who could have made a deal with the devil with in like a more villainous sense. But no, he has to go to one of the closest Marvel analogs to Satan in Mephisto to destroy not his soul or Mary Jane's soul, but their marriage. Which this is the first time Mephisto has ever made a deal like this. It's so weird.
I think it was just to infuriate you.
Yes. You want to know what's funny? When Marvel was having their Clone Saga issues, one of the funny ways they said, we could resolve all this, they said, it would be stupid if we brought Mephisto in here just to solve this Clone Saga ordeal. You know why? Because it's a stupid idea.
Now,
go ahead.
For a good Mephisto story,
yes,
on the positive side of this,
yes,
Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom together visit Mephisto's realm. That is fantastic. It gives you a lot of insight of what hell is like in Marvel.
Yes.
And it actually is kind of the torture stuff that people like Christian believe in. Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom go to hell? I don't know.
No, it's like something Torment or something like that. I can't remember. It's a graphic novel.
On my phone. I'll tell you after. Actually, let me look it up. Go ahead.
Yeah. Let's see. I was going to say something else too. Sorry. Another positive Mephisto story would be some of the early stuff he did with the Silver Surfer. And the two of them have been at odds for a very long time. Silver Surfer obviously representing like everything that Mephisto is not. What? Oh, absolutely. Norrin Radd is nothing compared to Will Rose. Nothing. But there's a great what if issue where the Silver Surfer, I believe, is not able to escape the Earth like he is in regular Fantastic Four. So he ends up joining the Fantastic Four. But Mephisto is very upset at this and is triumph and torment. So I had half of that right. Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom, triumph and torment. But Silver Surfer is essentially able to bargain with Mephisto to save the Fantastic Four's life by giving up his soul. But it's just so pure that Mephisto can't stand its presence. So he's forced to get rid of him. And kind of saying the way there was a story in the 90s with Neron in DC with Captain Marvel, who willingly gave up his soul to protect a lot of villains who had made deals with Neron for their souls. And it's that same thing of like evil cannot comprehend a pure good soul. Now, obviously, there are theological implications. I don't think either Captain Marvel or Norrin Radd are believers, but it's that idea of holy and pure cannot abide, evil cannot abide in its presence. Mm-hmm. Now let's get on to something that Payne can actually talk about, so she doesn't have to scroll on her phone and be ignored by
TJ can justify. I'm looking for like more demon stuff because I'm researching. So back off.
Demonology.
Okay.
Yes.
So now let's turn to some manga that we all mentioned earlier, or something you might not have earlier. What stands out about the demons and ghosts in these stories?
So I don't really like ghosts with manga, like the whole manga with the boyfriend dies, but then he's still like lingering on with the ghost, and like she still loves him because there's no action. Like you can't get married to him. Like he's dead. Let the dead bury the dead. You know.
No.
So I'm not a big Ghost fan. But
Personally, I think
She's
Ghost
quoting
was
the Bible.
really good in their heyday back in like the 70s. But I think now they're kind of played out.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm all for the demon. So TJ mentioned it, but like my very first one was Inuyasha. So watching that and reading the manga whenever you are waiting for the anime.
Well, that's an important distinction too. Well, that's one thing
He's
we
a
need to talk
half
about. What's the
demon.
difference between a demon and a yokai?
Yeah.
But he is a demon.
Yokai.
But what is the difference?
What is the
Okay,
difference?
so
What is yokai
Yeah,
translate?
because you didn't tell
Yokai-
me the criteria of demon.
well,
In the
Let-
show, it
let-
does say half demon though.
yes, because that's a translation issue.
Yeah, Yasha means
So,
demon in Japanese.
We in the West here have the idea of the fair folk.
well,
Those
the West
being
is wrong. We
your-
always establish
your
this.
fairies, your pixies, stuff like that. Well, in Japan, their version of the fair folk are yokai. We have then transferred that word, translated it as demon because it's like the closest thing we can think of, but it's more like in the sense of fairies being these entities that exist among us, but aren't necessarily in hell or anything like that. They actually,
Okay, so we've talked about demons actually being in hell. Then
yeah, more like like same thing with
Inuyasha
Demon
counts.
Slayer. More like they're not real demons in the sense that we would say. They're more like vampires and ghouls, as TJ.
why are you
called them.
discriminating against my demon?
Well, because if we're going to do this correctly,
I
we need to
support.
use the definition.
I support Elizabeth's position.
Yeah, don't discriminate. We're supposed to be all accepting
So
and all
if-
loving.
You're telling me I can't discriminate against demons?
Yes.
We're now going to throw a new
All right,
revolt against Christians.
all right, we're speaking. TJ tried to speak. Go ahead,
So
TJ.
if we're gonna be pedantic
Yes.
and say, oh, all the manga demons are actually yokai, then the only one we can really talk about, to my knowledge, is going to be Blue Exorcist.
Wait, I'm
Good
not saying
show.
all
He's
demons
legit
within
state-
manga
Oh,
are
Devil is a
yokai.
part timer.
I'm just saying Inuyasha specifically, they're yokai.
Yeah, the fox demon, the kitsune.
Yeah.
Sesshomaru is.
But
Not
go
a
ahead,
demon.
go talk about Blue Exorcist. I know you're a big fan.
So Blue Exorcist actually is like does just straight up have Mephisto in it. He's great. I love Mephisto when he's in it. It also has the Loki. It has gosh, what are the other? Beelzebub makes an appearance. in
It's a long since I've watched it.
I think in Blue Exorcist it does get kind of. It's not quite accurate because they want to make all their characters lovable. They do a good job, but they're not like biblically Mephisto.
Okay.
I'll talk about Devil as a part timer. Because is a devil a demon? Or is no?
It's more species.
TJ, help me out.
Devils are separate.
Okay, well then, so demon is from the pits of hell.
Yes.
That's what we're saying. So the devil can't be from the pits of hell.
No. Mao in that series is not an actual demon like from hell, but he's a race of people known as demons.
But they literally refer to him as Satan.
Yes, that's his name. That doesn't make him Satan.
I'm useless this episode. Whatever.
It's also a series that really loses itself along the way.
Also, should be pronounced Satan.
No,
No, shut up.
It should be.
Get out.
not on my show.
That long A sound just doesn't exist in.
I'm going to continue scrolling what I've watched and try again. Continue. I'll try again.
So,
Devilman Crybaby, I feel like.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Devilman Crybaby is really strongly like biblical goetic demons.
Also, a very poor theology, but at the end of the day, a very entertaining story.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, if you
you
want
mentioned
to-
Blue Exorcist.
What
Did
about
you actually
Black
talk about it?
Butler?
You did. You couldn't hear him.
Sebastian from
I-
Black Butler
I
is a
don't-
demon.
I don't particularly care for it, but you may talk about it.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just trying to.
I
Like,
don't know. I
I'm trying
can't
to join
remember.
in your classification of your prejudice of what actually makes a demon.
I mean, you may absolutely do so because
But I'm saying, would you agree then to
well,
Christian standards, the
I have
Christian
no clue
standard
because
demons?
I left Black Butler behind forever.
But I'm
ago.
saying, is Sebastian a Christian standard demon?
I
what
don't
I'm
remember.
asking.
Is my point.
No.
Whatever.
Pang, please talk about it. I don't know who it
yes,
is.
please do.
Black Butler?
I've never heard of this.
Oh, he is one hell of a butler. Let me tell you about Sebastian.
Like I don't know anything about manga at all.
Okay.
That's why he hasn't been speaking.
Yeah. Okay. So Black Butler is pretty much about a demon who makes a contract with this human boy, CL. And CL's family completely gets murdered, and he is out for revenge. And so, in order to get revenge, he's known as like the Queen's dog, and so he has to clean up the scum of Europe, and so England specifically. And so he makes a deal with the devil, and so Sebastian, He's so yummy, guys. If you have not seen the anime, oh my goodness.
So there is an anime.
Yeah, there's an
So I
anime.
don't have to read manga still.
You don't have to. No, you
Praise
can
God.
watch it. But here's the thing: just like what it always does, the anime veered off of the manga, and so the first season is great, but then it got So read the manga.
I refuse to read manga.
That's fine. You can watch the first anime and lust after Sebastian. Then
Black Butler sucks.
no, not the
What?
first. No, it does
It's
not.
horrible.
I love it.
I've
didn't
never
care for
enjoyed Black Butler ever.
Guys,
Why?
please drop in the comments on YouTube whether or not I should watch Black Butler.
I mean, I don't think
Butler.
you should watch Black Butler. There's
But
really
I'm
nothing
so
for
intrigued
you.
by
But
what
I
you
mean,
just
it's
said.
interesting of the Queen's Guard dog. There's like a twist at the end that you don't realize what's happening, and he's pretty much
That sounds
fighting all
fun.
these demons, and
Why would I not
the
like
Grim Reaper shows up. I like it. It's almost like a crime thing too. He's like has to solve
that
these
sounds
cases, has to solve the murder and whatnot, and
that? I like that Sherlock one you made me watch.
yeah. I mean, you might like it, but there is a lot of eye candy.
I'll
Anything else
ignore
for you,
that.
Peg?
Male eye candy.
I know how to read. That's why I do subtitles.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
I
have to
like
look at
it.
any of the pictures.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, there's not boy love, but everyone wants like the Sebastian and CL. Like they have
I
like
feel like I'm not gonna.
no, there's not boy love. I'm just letting you know with the fandom, like they want it.
Yeah, some fandoms can totally ruin.
It's
stuff.
so upsetting. I was like, no. And then so the whole point is once CL gets his vengeance, Sebastian gets to eat his soul.
Yeah. Like I know a lot of fans of Star Wars who hate on the Last Jedi and just ruins it for me. I hate that.
I think those same people would be very upset. Oh.
Who said that?
Is there really?
Oh,
Thank
man.
you, bald surfer.
Thank you, anonymous bald
Thank
surfer.
you. So-
Now,
I just want it to be known. I've gotten the most interaction now of the day. So
Okay.
do not disagree with me ever again.
Accurate.
now, Josh, you had an interesting idea about how
Did I?
Brooke is handled in One Piece and how this could correlate to our discussion.
I just thought if I put it in the examples, one of you guys would explain to me how Brooke works, and I would find it interesting.
So, Brooke, I don't remember the exact name of his fruit, but what it actually does is prevent him from dying, or it gave him a second life, really.
Okay.
But it doesn't reconstitute his body. It just kind of lets him exist in a state of decay.
Yeah, like he's
But his
immortal,
spirit-
but he never
I'm gonna
died.
get there.
Okay.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So he learned to extract his spirit from his body because what was really going on was his soul was inhabiting the skeleton.
Okay.
It is not the soul fruit because that is what Big Mom has, and it gives her control over other souls.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But
I
Brooke
get it
is human who never died, but his body decayed.
So he's the undead.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
Not a ghost.
He's more of a zombie than a demon.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
All right. So I'll get to my choice, which was Yu Yu Hakusho.
Ah, that's a good one.
Where we
Dang
get ghosts and demons,
And that's great eye candy too. Kurama, Kie,
of course.
love
Now-
him.
For Yusuke, our main character here, is he starts the series off dying, and there's this mix of he wasn't supposed to die. He was he was trying to save a child from being hit by this car. He gets a truck or something like that, gets run over, and he meets a Shinigami, a Soul Reaper, which we from Bleach, which we could talk about too, but that's its own thing.
You didn't tell me. So the reason, go ahead. I'm
okay.
excited. I'm so happy. I'm sorry I was mean to you.
Yeah, okay. I'm back in your good graces.
Wait, let's talk about Yu Yu Hakusho. Go.
Yeah. So it's part of his deal of he shouldn't be dead. So what essentially the what's the word the bureaucracy of the afterlife has okay, we're going to give you one chance to come
BPRD?
back to life.
Yeah, but
And-
the reason why he got his chance is because this dude was such a freaking dirtbag in real life. No one anticipated him doing a random act of kindness to save this
child.
kid.
Yeah.
Because the reality is the kid who was supposed to get hit by the car would have never gotten hit. So Yusuke pretty much died for nothing, and all of heaven was like, yeah, we didn't see this coming. It's so funny.
So at this point, to earn his way back, he's got to perform these good deeds and proves himself at the end of not giving up part of himself to actually save someone else again. That he's able to come back to life, and as part of that, he then has taken on the role of a spirit detective, fighting against different demons that are trying to destroy the human world and bring the two worlds together, kind of. So it's a very fascinating series. I highly recommend it.
And it has a good ending.
Yeah, a very good ending.
Like it's so well done.
Okay.
Just bring back up the Blue Exorcist. This is the only thing that I sort of know about that you've talked about.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
I just wanted to feel included.
I'm glad you're here.
Those are the ones with the twins, right? It's been a hot minute since I watched that one. Blue Exorcist had the twins with
Yes.
it. Yeah, okay. Making sure I wasn't
Really,
mixing
I
anime.
just feel like it's more a commentary on like church and church structures than anything.
Well, actually,
It's
I think
fun.
that kind of fits into our next question, which is how does the biblical portrayal of demons and ghosts compare to the ones we mentioned today? Blue Exorcist, they have like next to nothing in common outside of there being demons and being bad.
It's fair.
And the church in itself in that series is like some weird Shinto, a Catholic church.
Yeah.
And yeah. Is anyone else?
No, that's pretty much right.
Well, there's just so many different views on what hell is and demons and etc. that I'm kind of just this. It's a weird question because when you're asking about the biblical view of these things, depending on who you're asking, they have a completely different thing in mind than what Christian or I might have in mind. You know, if you're talking to me, I'm thinking more like our battle's not against flesh and blood, but it's against principalities. It's against the rulers of darkness. I'm like, oh, so that's what I'm thinking of. You know, somebody else is like, yeah, that's not even real. Demons are more a figurative thing. So clearly we're talking about different things. So when you're comparing what we think the Bible says to what comics say, well, comics are pretty clear what it's saying. There's pictures. Bible doesn't have pictures. Somebody
Maybe
needs to
not your
rectify that
Bible.
immediately.
Let that be your lesson for today. The Bible does not have pictures.
No, what's
say the
shout
Action
out
Bible.
to our friend, the Word for Word Bible comic.
Oh, yes. Anyone else?
My Bible has maps and like pictures of the temples.
Is there a
and
map
stuff.
of hell?
I'm just saying.
That's like a legitimate
But you
question.
said Bibles do not have pictures. I'm just saying maybe not your Bible, but
No,
mine
I'm
does.
just legitimately asking if it has a map of hell because that would be kind of cool.
No,
That'd be sick.
no.
Well, you should read Dante's Inferno.
Yeah, you'd have to ask Dante about that.
Actually, don't read Dante's Inferno. Read the entire Divine Council. People who just read the Inferno are missing the point of the story.
Yeah. So on
The
this,
Inferno is the best part of the Divine Comedy, though. So like,
It's more entertaining, but you miss the point of the story.
so earlier we mentioned Mephisto, and I think that's a really great use of the idea of demons as tempters, demons as wanting to do what is worst for the world. And of course, Mephisto comes from Mephistopheles, which was written. Oh my gosh, what is his name? Goethe, something like that. Yeah, a German, by the way, if you couldn't tell from that terrible pronunciation. And it's that fascinating story of Dr. Faustus and like making a deal with a demon. What does that actually mean? We don't really see in Scripture, anyone going to a demon or Satan himself and say, "All right, it's time to make a deal." We see Satan attempting to make a deal with Jesus to say, "Oh, just worship me, and I'll give you the entire earth." Because as we see in Scripture, like Satan essentially reigns over the earth. We have a very false view of him being trapped in hell right now versus having essentially free reign outside of what God doesn't allow him to do, which we also see in Job. The devil can only do so much.
Which also wasn't the devil.
Sure. If we go with Ha-Satan.
Yeah, part of the Divine Council in heaven.
Yes, we'll get to that in our bonus question after all this.
Were you going to say something, TJ?
I was just going to bring up like the Catholics do believe that ghosts do persist after death. You're not allowed to talk to them. Once they ask for prayer, they talk to a saint. That's it. It's over. There is I cannot remember and I could not find online, but a lot of people believe that Mother Mary's ghost shows up above a basilica in somewhere in like Iran or something. Yeah. But
yes,
they see that as canon. That's Mary's ghost.
So one of the interesting things about Hellboy and Hell, could y'all guess what I'm going to recommend later? No, it's really a mosh podge. So a lot of your Hellboy comics, typically it'll pick one culture, spiritual thing, and kind of explore that. And usually it stays pretty true to the lore, not necessarily the religious text, but like the common understood lore.
Yes.
In Hell, we get some of the stuff that Catholics believe. We get some of the Jewish lore. If you're looking even like at the Talmud, there's stuff specifically from there that's not in our Bibles. When you think about like Leviathan being in the lake of fire, our Bible says something about Leviathan being hidden deep into the earth. The Talmud explains that that's in the lake of fire. Pretty interesting concept. But I mean, you get these weird modge in there, but a lot of it is accurate. One of the things I think is really interesting there is how it portrays there being an order of demons. I think sometimes that might be biblically accurate. I think the Bible's pretty weird when it comes to like demons and hell, if it means it literally or not. But I'll leave that alone for now, just to say like some places it does kind of seem to suggest that there is a hierarchy. There's greater and lesser demons. So I think that concept playing such a big part in the comic was really interesting.
Okay. Well said, everyone, on that. Very great arguments all around, even Josh's.
I like Ghost Freak in Ben 10 a lot.
You know what?
I like Ghost Freak from Ben 10.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a good depiction.
He's also an alien, not really a ghost.
Yeah, but what does he do? Danny Phantom?
Yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah, that's
Ghost-
the weird
that's the
lore
Ghost
there
realm.
on Danny Phantom.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing.
But that's also Western animation and not
Yeah, it's
anything
still
we
nice.
discussed. It's okay.
So I was just saying when he said Ben 10,
Oh,
I
yeah,
thought
Oh, we're talking about Western animation. You know, South Park has Satan.
Yeah, we can
That's the most accurate portrayal, I think.
Also, not our topic for discussion today.
Yeah.
Still Western animation, even
I
if
just
it's
wanted to
crudely.
mention Ghost Freak. I really like Ghost Freak's
And I love South
design.
Park.
I think it's one of the best designs in the original Ben 10 run.
All right, so how can Christians believe that ghosts are real if we expect everyone to stand before God on Judgment Day? Now, Josh, I want you to think about, so he's the one who wrote this question. Number one, you misspelled judgment. There's not an E after, the G there.
I'm just so excited for this. I wrote this question, and by wrote this, what I did was go into our topics thing where Christian wrote the topic, and I hit copy paste.
What?
Yeah, this is not my question. Actually, I think you texted it to me, and I copy pasted the text.
Did I?
But you asked to do an episode about that question, so I included it.
Nope.
Well, it didn't come from me.
Supernatural. I didn't do that. All right, so we have a disagreement here. Who's right? Who's wrong? Well, let's ask in the comments. We'll have a poll. I don't think we can do that. There you go.
Yeah.
Because I really don't remember that. I'll
Well,
be perfectly
I don't
honest.
remember where this came from either.
You know, why don't we just blame?
I just know that at some point you did mention wanting to talk about like whether Christians can believe in ghosts or not.
Yes, that was definitely something.
I think the best way to believe in ghosts is to be just a little bit silly goofy.
Okay.
I would like to say, like with many words that are used in English and British English, judgment with an E is used in Britain instead of without one.
Oh yeah, and my computer is set to UK, so it probably auto-corrected that.
Okay. Well, I haven't had to care about that since 1776.
I mean, if we're talking about ghosts in the Bible, I mean, Saul literally went to a medium to channel.
I mean, if you think that's a literal story, yeah, sure.
Thank God someone got us back on topic.
I'm just saying, like, this
Yes.
is a thought.
Yes. No, go ahead, Pang.
I'm just saying, like, I mean, here's the thing. We all know I don't care a lot. Like, it's not a secret. So I really could care less about, like, ghosts and demons and whatnot like that. But here I am. But to answer the question, if I was trying to get a Christian to, like, I was like, what if? Like, there is where Saul went and communicated with Samuel in the Bible. So apparently Josh isn't debating freaking landing on the moon, but he's going to debate this. So go ahead, Josh.
ghosts are silly.
Huh?
Biblical inerrancy is also a little silly to me, but that's just me.
I'm just saying.
Well, it also depends how we interpret those specific verses.
That's true.
Is this actually Samuel's spirit that the Witch of Endor is able to bring up from Sheol or whatever? Or is it God intervening, and that's why she freaks out because she wasn't expecting him? Or is it a demon taking on his form?
So
Or was
many
it some
questions.
bad mushrooms?
Or they're all just eating some really bad mushrooms right beforehand, and somehow we got that biblical story out of it. I am of the belief that God actually intervened and brought Samuel there to pronounce judgment, and that's why she freaks out.
But also, if
she
you
was a
go-
charlatan trying to mess with him.
Into Timothy, all scripture is written by man, inspired by God. So would something that was false be inspired by God to write in the Bible?
Yep.
So I'm just saying. I feel like Josh is a heretic.
That's its
I
own
think God
conversation.
inspired the message, not necessarily the accuracy or the historical things of the story. But hey, if you want to believe in a flat Earth, go for it.
So you don't
Which,
believe the
record,
Bible? So
no
you
one here
believe the
believes in a
Bible is
flat Earth.
beautiful? Then you're disputing the Bible.
Parts
This
of it, yeah.
Okay.
Josh thinks he's better than the
Interesting.
Bible.
Wow.
I think that the Bible's very clearly not written to be literal.
Okay, and that's certainly a valuable interpretation to have. Also wrong, but you know what? I also love
Now,
you.
some parts of it
Yeah.
are definitely literal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's one of the important things we have here at Systematic Ecology is that obviously we come from very different points of view. And how do we look at Scripture? Is it something that we can say is 100% true? Or is it like this is as close as we're going to get to what the original intent was? Or something like that?
But always at the end of the day, Josh is wrong.
Yes, you can always accept that.
That's true.
That is collective.
I'm always wrong, even when I'm right.
All right, so on the actual question.
Yeah, the Bible may not be inerrant, but I am.
Okay, yes, TJ is always right too. So how can Christians believe ghosts are real if we expect everyone to stand before God on Judgment Day? My second issue was it doesn't really matter, does it? If they're going to end up at Judgment Day anyways, even if they've been lingering around.
I swear this is just how you worded the question.
I swear you are making something up here. And we are having like someone messed with our memories or something like that. And now they wanted to see us bicker live on air.
Yeah. Mephisto is causing some chaos. If I had to guess what this question was about, I think it's more of the Bible kind of suggests, if you're of the inerrant camp, it kind of suggests this idea that your spirits are waiting Judgment Day, and one day will go to Judgment Day. It says to be, what was it, to leave your bodies to be present with the Lord, something like that. You know what I'm talking about. There's a verse like that a lot of people like to use that means that kind of implies as soon as I'm dead, boom, I'm in the presence of God. So how could there be such a thing as ghosts?
Okay.
That's my guess.
Well, that's a very interesting question because it raises those theological implications. Is it possible for God to allow a spirit to remain for some purpose? Could it be like maybe God allows a spirit to remain behind to solve its own murder, like we've seen in cases across the entire world? Or is it something that there's another purpose? God is going to get more glory if this spirit does not immediately go to him. Or maybe he's giving someone more time to repent. Could even be an argument you could make. So
that sounds a lot like purgatory.
I mean, it could be. I mean, I don't believe particularly in purgatory. I mean, if
I'm pretty indifferent.
Yeah, I figured as much.
That's what I think. I think you're just chilling until the Judgment Day. Then everyone gets judged at once.
Yeah, because
something that you got to like request a leave of absence and go haunt somebody.
Now, if hell is a place of eternal torment, I think purgatory makes a lot of sense. But if it's not, I don't see the need of it.
Okay. Personally, I'm of the belief that as soon as you're done on this world, you've expired, you go straight up to him, and you're sent one or the other. Now, can I prove that exclusively right now? No. But, all right. Before we wrap up this, Will, are there any questions we have up there? Okay. So, guys, thank you for listening to the show for this excellent round of bickering between friends. How to interpret the Bible. How do we look at ghosts? What qualifies as a demon? Is Christian right? Is Peng right? Are we all wrong? Did Christian and Josh both have an experience where someone stole our memories of a question that doesn't exist in my mind, but somehow he got? And yeah.
I just want to point out something. The only one of us who hasn't bickered this episode is the owner of the Whole Church podcast, your favorite Church Unity podcast, Tiberius One. Thank you.
Well, that's why he's an error.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. Always right.
He just doesn't care like me, too.
Except when you don't care.
Exactly.
You did bicker, though.
I'm just saying, like, he cares even less than I do.
So, enough. Guys, thank you for listening to this episode. Subscribe if you can on Captivate, Apple Podcasts to get some extra questions. We're going to be doing one right after this. Just join us on Patreon as well. Like us on YouTube. Smash that subscribe button, as Pastor Will Rose would say if he were here. Of course, the like button as well. Yes.
The notification little bell. That's a good one.
Yes, that way you know when we're live or when we just release something. So thank you for all that. Join us on Discord if you have the time as well. We have some really good conversations there. Really enjoy to have more people to join. But remember, we are all a chosen people, a geekdom of priests.